Some of my notoriously single friends struggle with retention. They're able to meet other single individuals, but converting those into lifelong customers is a harder challenge. And when you have a D30 retention of 0%, you kind of have to have a more aggressive user acquisition strategy to get any revenue whatsoever. Luckily, retaining a user in an app is a lot easier than retaining a romantic partner as long as you know some of the best practices. Welcome to Voidlog Index 7. This is the series where I share the business and development process of building a billion-dollar unicorn company called voidpet. 3 weeks ago, Linda and I launched the voidpet app, and since then, over 100,000 people have downloaded the app across Android and iOS. Over 40,000 people use the app daily, and 23% of users continue playing the app after 14 days. If you're unfamiliar with the app/game world and you hear that a product has 77% of its users leaving after 2 weeks, you may be thinking that the product is hot garbage, or at least that's what I was thinking. Well, according to Apptopia, the day 14 retention for the top 10 highest grossing iOS games ranges from 10% to 18%. It's very hard to even get 20% of your players to come back after 2 weeks. And although our retention is like a little bit higher than those averages, keep in mind that we have way less downloads. When we get to the magnitude of Pokemon Go or some of these other apps, I can see us dropping down into the 10-18% range. People in the game industry told me that if you can get 50% of users to come back after a day, 25% of users to come back after 7 days, and 10% of users to come back after 30 days, your product is doing something correct. Now I'm going to be passing over the mic to our product lead, who's going to be explaining the design decisions that came into making the voidpet app to make it not only fun and helpful, but also retain users. Hey guys. Our goal with voidpet was to make a self-care or reflective journal not boring. So we gamified it. When you're trying to do this, the Octalysis framework is a very helpful tool for categorizing and applying game elements to your product. voidpet uses a lot of accomplishment, ownership, and scarcity. Depending on how hard you go with the game elements relative to what your value proposition is, you're going to sit on a different spot in the app to game spectrum. For example, Duolingo is closer to an app for learning languages, but it still has a lot of gaming elements like streaks, leaderboards, and points. Whereas with voidpet, we want to be closer to the gaming side, but still have the value proposition associated with a regular journaling app. The main game loop in voidpet starts with you watering your plants by doing a self-care activity like gratitude journaling. This nourishes your plant and attracts wild void pets to your garden that you can choose to befriend or let go. If you let them go, you get void matter right away, which is our currency, and you'll never see them in your garden again. If you choose to befriend them, you can name them and they will come back to your garden to give you void matter over time. You then can use the void matter to grow your trees and change their color to attract rarer kinds of void pets to your garden, and then the loop continues. Now back at the start, there's a few things we did on purpose when it came to watering. First, we didn't want to force players to do self-care activities. This is a small thing, and even though we're a journaling self-care app, I really hate being forced to do things. Even if the thing I would probably do if you didn't tell me to do it, as soon as you tell me I have to do it, there's just something inside me that doesn't feel good about that. So we wanted to give players the option, hey, we're going to encourage you to do this self-care activity. It's going to cost you no money, aka void matter, and it's going to give you double XP. But if you want to, you're not feeling it, you can pay 5 void matter, skip it, and you just water your plants like that. Secondly, we didn't want players to get burned out of the self-care activities. So you can do a max of 3 a day, and if you want to do more than that, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to come back tomorrow and turn into a daily active user. And you also get the most XP for the first one you do. So if you want to be one and done, you can. And they also rotate every day. There are 3 unique ones, except we only have a total of 5, so it's really not that unique, but there's a little bit of a rotation. Third, after watering your plants, void pets don't appear right away. At this point, we actually want you to stop using the app. This was inspired by Neko Atsuma, the kitty collector game, where you have to actually leave the app for a certain amount of time, come back later, and that's when pets will appear. The main purpose of this is to prevent the voidpet app from becoming too much of a time sink on your life. Now, the trade-off is this potentially stunts some of the passion you could have for the game or the app if you could spend a lot of time in it. We designed the game strictly for the person who wants to spend 5 minutes every day, not the person that wants to spend hours on end playing a game. Now, this is a double-edged sword. This is either the thing that you hate about our app because it feels like there's nothing to do and you wish you could do more, or this is the thing that you love about our app because you feel like it's an easy layer on top of your everyday life that brings you joy when you're sitting on the toilet. This, combined with the allure of collecting all the different emotions and the anticipation of finding out which void pet visited your garden when you check back later, is the core driver that brings players back to our game. Currently, there are 32 different emotions with 5 stages each and 96 different vivids. Maybe we went a little crazy on the number of colors. Originally, there was only 16 vivids, but people liked them so much, we wanted to add more. So naturally, we added 16 for each element. And all of a sudden, there's quite a few different colored pets to collect. The one way that you can kind of be a degenerate in this game, if you really want to befriend pets faster, is by opening the app throughout the day. Now, you can't do more self-care activities, but your nourished plants still attract void pets throughout the day as long as you give it enough time between each app open. This might be a little bit against the vision of a self-care app, but we still wanted something that you could compulsively check. At least if you're going to get addicted to an app, might as well make it a self-care one, right? Anyway, the next item is a little hidden, but if you tap on the dragon in the top right, it will open our battle pass, aka the thing you tap on daily to give you a reward if you befriended at least one pet that day. This is a pretty standard game mechanic to encourage players to come back at least once a day to claim their free gift, or they will fall behind on the possible rewards they could get. The last big thing is when you finish the tutorial, it will prompt you to allow push notifications. And if you accept, we will send you a reminder to check your garden if you haven't opened the app in the last 24 hours. If you're not annoying about push notifications, people really like them. Turns out over 60% of users accepted the notification prompt, which is a lot higher than I was expecting. And the anecdotal feedback we got from users is they really liked being reminded to do self-care activities, so much so that we added a way to set a reminder at a specific time of day in the settings. Right now, those are the main drivers of retention. We might experiment with streaks or leaderboards in the future, but as of right now, we're pretty happy with how our core is performing. And with that said, I will pass the mic back to Ben. All right, hope you guys liked that deep dive into our product design. Next week, we're going to be diving deeper into how the app was coded.